Hi, my name is Brandon, and over the past year, the Delight Cafe team and I have traveled across the U.S. researching this rapidly growing industry of CBD products. What we have found throughout the industry were products that were inconsistent in dosage and used ingredients that weren't even lab tested. Products with chalky textures, bitter aftertaste, and worst of all, confusion among the CBD consumers. That's why we created Delight Cafe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to actually something new. We have something fun for you guys today. We are actually going to be speaking with an absolute hero, and I don't say that lightly. I say that with complete sincerity in my heart. The gentleman we're going to interview is Mr. Dave Brown. He's a veteran. We're coming up on September 11th. He has a family. He's got kids. He's a golfer. I learned that firsthand. And above all else, he has one of these hearts that is truly genuine and loves people. He is a part of the Delight Network now. He's joining us, and he's actually going to be the veterans presence from Delight's network, because Dave is someone who wants veterans to care about themselves, love who they are, and be the best in themselves. And it's an honor to have someone like Dave be a part of our team. Dave, floor is yours for what is now going to be the episode called Victor Tango, our newest show. How you doing, Dave?
I'm great. How you doing, Brandon?
I am wonderful. I am grateful you are here. I'm going to dive right in. You were a Marine. What is the difference between a veteran that's a Marine and a veteran that maybe is a Navy or Army and all that, and what the love we should be giving them is?
Well, the Marines really is the only branch of service. Well, okay, I'm going to say that to anybody. But the difference between the Marines is the discipline. It's the amount of boot camp training. It's about self-respect, and we're a band of brothers. Once you become a Marine, you're always a Marine. You join any branches of service, such as the Navy, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force. What you're going to find is that you're going to be friends through your time, but you're not going to have that same brotherhood camaraderie that's going to last forever and ever and ever, where you may have a couple of people from your life from that time that may stay in touch with you. Whereas if you're a Marine, you can just walk up to anybody who's a Marine and you can share the same stories, and they know exactly where you've been. They know exactly what you went through, and they know exactly what's coming up for you if you're still in. And so they're good resources, and they're always willing to help out. We all serve for a reason. So that's why we were there. So for me, there was no choice. I wanted to be a Marine. My great grandfather was a Marine, and he fought in World War I and was highly decorated. Purple Heart recipient. So I decided that when it became time that I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life, that I was going to join the Marines. And that's what I did. So I joined in my senior year of high school, March 8th, 1988. I remember that day till the day that I die. And I was on the delayed entry program for 10 months, and then actually went to boot camp in January of 1989. Got out of boot camp in April of 1989, went from there to School of Infantry, and then from there went to the fleet. And in my time, I was over in Iraq, was over in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and that general region, and then also spent some time in Somalia, and then got out in 93. Spent some time in the reserves till 94, and then I joined the Navy Reserves and went from 94 to 2002 in the Navy Reserves. It actually served during the Bosnia conflict over in Europe, in Italy and Spain. So have some time, been around the world, seen my share of stuff that still hangs on to this day, which is one of the reasons why I want to be a part of this.
I love this. So and this is ignorance of me not knowing anything military related. The closest I've ever come to the military is the game Stratego and Risk. So, understand, that laugh was perfect. A fleet. You said you joined the fleet. I assume that means like the group of men that and women that went out to fight. But
Yeah.
you've been in battle. How close have you come to? I hate to say the word death, but that's what you were doing. You were fighting and protecting our freedom and so much with your life. Why would you do such a thing?
The reason is to protect the person who's standing next to me, who I signed up to serve with, and protect my brother, protect my family, for my liberties here at home, for our liberty, for being free. That's not just a concept. It's not just a phrase. There's actually people out there that live that every day. That it's not a word. It's actually a feeling. It's a way of life. And for us as veterans, that's exactly what it is. And so we chose to serve. We chose to write a check to the United States government, up into including our own lives, to protect the freedom and of this nation, and to protect our country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So going into something like that, you wash it away, you rationalize it while you're there. You find ways to joke about it with your buddies who have been there with you. But as you grow older, that stuff really is dug deep into your psyche and into what's going on in your life, and that creates a lot of problems for you in the future. Self-medicating can be one of those problems. Mental health gets tore up from that, and it creates a lot of problems in families. And I have divorce from being messed up, so I mean, I can understand all of that. So, but that's why I want to help out. I want to be here. I want to talk about these things. I want to give people help. I want to talk about resources that are out there. I want to talk about how I did it. I want to talk about anything and all things veteran. So that's what we're here to do.
I love it. And I don't see winners dancing. I want money back. Victor Tango. He wants to see us dancing.
Who does?
Tango. The Tango. Panda wants to see us dancing. I love it. I love the comedy there, Panda. Now, being a veteran, this was something that you and actually Brian Tracy came up with, and you guys started talking because you both are Marine vets. Why Victor Tango? What's the name stand for, and why did you pick it? And then on top of that, why a veterans show?
All right, so we chose the name Victor Tango because of the phonetic alphabet. For the letter V is Victor, and for T is Tango. And it was based off of the show being called Veteran Talk. And we wanted it to not just be Veteran Talk radio. We wanted it to have a military presence, a veteran presence. So it'd be recognized by veterans, and they would understand what we're talking about. And they'd be intrigued to see what are they saying Victor Tango for. So it gives us that first line out there for them to say, what's this? And then to see, 100% veteran talk. Well, what do they talk about? And then be able to lead into some conversations about that stuff. So that's how we came up with that idea. What was the other question, Brandon?
It's so that's how you came up with Victor Tango. What is a vision you see for why you started this? And can I actually rephrase that? I came up with a better way of asking it.
Sure.
Because when you say fleet, what's usually the first fleet that goes in? Is it the Army? Is it the Marines? Is it the Air Force? What's the first round of attack usually when we're in battle?
Well, one of the things that people don't understand, that one of the differences is that the President of the United States has the ability to send in Marines before he even has to enact Congress to declare war or anything like that. I don't remember what the exact number was, if it was 10,000, 20,000 Marines that he can call and send somewhere without even enacting Congress for any type of conflict going on in the world where there needs policing or that kind of stuff, which is how we ended up in Somalia when we were there. We were actually leaving the Gulf region and were diverted to Somalia at that time because we were the closest U.S. troops. And the President of the United States said, we need somebody there to take the aid back from the Pakistan army that was being taken away from the Somalis. So That's one of the big differences, and that's why we say we're first to fight, because we're always first in the fight. And that's real. No other service sits and waits for that call. When it comes to a new situation, the Marines are sent in for the initial attack.
So I think that's interesting. I want to use that as a platform then, because truthfully, think about what you're doing. Wouldn't you say America is under its own version of an attack right now, with a lot of things going on around the country in so many different ways?
Yep.
And the Marines have to be the ones that are going to be the ones that are standing out right now saying, hold on, we want to talk to everybody. And we want to talk about this and bring attention to the veterans and what we're missing as a country. And you're a Marine going in first saying, bring it, let's go. I think that's so honorable. So being that first one, what is your dream scenario for all veterans with a podcast like this?
My dream is to get in touch with every veteran that's in the United States, to talk to them about how we can make their life better, how we can improve their financial situation, how we can improve their mental health situation, how we can improve their family situation, linking them to resources, all that kind of stuff. Coming to the plate, I was a veteran service officer, so I've been trained by the VA on how to manipulate their system and understand their benefits for veterans, and how veterans qualify for those and how to apply for those. So I have a lot of knowledge in my head to be able to communicate about that stuff. And it really hurts me to hear that a veteran has lost his life because he hasn't been able to get his resources. 22 veterans a day on average commit suicide because they're not getting the mental health stuff that they need. And some of that is the people that are doing it. It's not just the 20-year-olds. It's not just the 30-year-olds. It's not just the 40-year-olds. We're still looking at Vietnam veterans that are committed suicide because they're tired of living that way, and they never got the resources that they needed. They self-medicate to the point where they're so low, and they've had 50 years of trash in their life because of Vietnam, and here they are. Nobody's been taking care of them. No one's got to them to give them the resources that they need, and so they end their life that way. Now, I take that as a personal failure because I didn't reach that person to be able to help them at that time. With the rest of us out there, for veterans, if we all could think of somebody we know that struggles with chemical dependency, mental health issues, and just get them to come to the show and at least ask questions and get pointed in the right direction, we'd be able to help them try to get to what we can do and get them some help, get them some resources, improve their life situation. I mean, life is worth living. Don't let the past dictate that you can't live. You got to get past it, and it's going to be impossible to get past it completely, but there's medications that can help you at least forget about it for a while, or CBD, help you feel comfortable and be able to keep yourself calm and be able to just kind of chill and get through life without having that high level of anxiety or that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm here. That's what we're going to do with this show. We're going to help veterans. We're going to talk about stuff. We're going to debate stuff. We might get in a fisticuff or two if you're if we're in somebody's house or something. I don't know. We'll find out. We're gonna push the limits. We're gonna check things out.
I think that's what needs. We need that.
I see us at some point going back to California, where I was in August, and walking the line of Veterans Row of homeless veterans that are sitting right outside the VA, basically over there. There's hundreds of them in tents. Just to walk by there and say, hey, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? How can we help you? I mean, it's ridiculous that nobody's coming out there and trying to help them change their circumstances right out there. And that's frustrating.
As a vet, what is the biggest thing? Like, you see people say thank you all the time to you for, thank you for your service and all that. But then you have scenarios like you're talking about in California right now. And that's everywhere. Like, I want to make sure we don't just put California there. You can go downtown Cleveland. You can go downtown Louisville, Kentucky, and you're going to have veterans that are out there because it is something that is not being taken care of. With that, resources, getting out there, connecting with people and all this, how can people, without saying the thank you, actually be giving back? And Victor Tango is a way, like you're saying, giving that What do you see as a way of showing community and believing in your vets? What would you like to see people go into?
I would rather a veteran instead of or regular American non-veteran, somebody come up to me and the thank you for your service. You hear it so much that it doesn't carry the weight that you think it does coming from you. And it doesn't have the sincerity, because thanking me for my service, you have no idea what my service is different than the guy next to me who's a veteran. So you're not going to know the level of my service or the level of my sacrifice. So saying it to one veteran's going to be okay, and saying it to another veteran, it's going to be like a slap in the face, middle finger to you, right?
Right.
You want to do something for me? You want to take my advice? Tell me you made a donation to a veterans nonprofit organization in my name, or that you volunteered for one of them, or you reached out to get help for a friend, or tell me a story like that. And it's because you met me or you got introduced to me or something like that. That's how you're going to thank me. It's to give back. Just do what you can for veterans, vote for veterans issues, get veterans taken care of, and keep it moving direction that we can knock this number of 22 veterans a day committing suicide. It's just ridiculous. If this was anybody, other group of people killing themselves on a daily basis, this would be a national pandemic, and everybody would be talking about how this is going to be a huge topic of how we're going to do this. Mental health is, now that we're opening the door, we need to kick that mother open and let's talk about it. Let's get all the bad mojo about it away, and let's be real. We've had issues, and the issues that we got from service are service issues, so they're service connected. But those stacked on whatever our life was before the service is like putting straws on a camel's back. And so if you had a rough childhood or a rough teenage years, or didn't have friends or any of that kind of stuff, and then you get to the Marines or to the Army or whatever else, and then you're into a combat situation or you're into something like that, you're adding those straws, and sooner or later you're going to break the back and you're going to go crazy. And mental health, that's what happens. There's going to become where you're not the same anymore. And how do you get back from that? And I want to talk about that too on this show. How do you get back from getting to that point and being hopeless, being fearful of everything around you, and being able to enjoy being out with your family and things like that again, in life, because that's what life is living. Sitting in your house, you've already died. If you're just sitting in your house and not taking advantage of everything that's going on in the world for you too. And we have resources to help you get there.
First, I want to say that's all. I love that you want to make sure we provide these resources. Second, Brian's made the comment here, veteran suicide is the skeleton in the closet that no one will pull out because people don't understand it and therefore don't know how to fix it. And the thing is, I agree, but I think that there needs to be a conversation there, like Dave's saying. We need to be able to open the door, because I know in particular that there's a lot of people out there that men don't say, like, hey, brother, I love you, stuff like that, unless they have served. But we're seeing that come out a lot more right now as Semper Fi, Jason, my brother. So, like, we seeing this coming out more and more, but that camaraderie is something that shouldn't just be left at the battlefield. And it's so hard when we get back and all of a sudden your mind is, you have to take care of yourself. And it's hard to remember those brothers. How do you see this being a way of connecting those brothers, that family that you had, that's different from ways that others are doing it? Because that is very different for people.
Yeah, it's giving them the knowledge that we've been there, done that, got the T-shirt to prove it, the tattoos, that kind of stuff. We can talk experiences. We can talk, and location. Where are you? We can get somebody around you. We can get somebody in your camp to be able to be there to support you. I mean, that's one of the things I'd like to do, is to be able to maybe set up in the future some type of mentor organization or purpose, so that we can help these veterans once they say, hey, you know what? I need help. I need somebody to hold me accountable. I need somebody to touch base with. I need somebody to call me and say, hey, what you been up to? I haven't heard from you in a few days. What's going on? and just check on people. The more that we can push that kind of communication between each other, the better off we're going to be, and breaking the stigma and being able to get stronger community, veteran community, to be able to stand around each other with these problems and be able to help each other out of them. It's like peer, what do they call that? Peer group in counseling settings, peer group.
Yeah, like a peer group session. Yes, I know what you're saying. Okay, when you said it the first time, I'm like, that's an army or a veteran term. Like, that's a new one to me. But no, you're right. And I think so. Right here, Jason, I want to commend you for being vulnerable and putting this comment up there. November 2018 is when the black cloud entered my brain. Hard to explain, but I'm still here. And the thing is, that is a story. Wow. That got in there right when I tried to clear it. Way to go, Brian. Many vets have no family around them because it's easier for the family to pretend they don't exist than it is to know how to help them. And while I agree with that and I see the dark cloud, I want to ask the question, when you come home, you've changed. And that's because you've seen shit that we will never understand. And I'm going to phrase it like that because it's true. And I would rather be able to give you a hug and a listening ear, but there's got to be something, especially with the family thing, like Brian said, but like the depression thing, like Jason said, where the family or friends can be there and you don't feel that black cloud come in as a vet, because I think that's the biggest thing that we're missing in our country for our vets is it comes in and it just is this, you serve, you protect, and you keep us free, and then they turn around and it's, you're done. Yep. You're gone. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So back World War II, Vietnam, Korea, the veterans, when they left after their tour of duty, when they left service, they basically got home and went back to the streets without any out processing, without any communication, without anything else happening. They were Vietnam one day, Korea one day, Japan, wherever else one day, and then back on their home block the next day without any out processing, without any evaluation, without any of that stuff. Yeah. During our time in the 80s and 90s, they started to talk a little bit about some of that stuff, but it still was taboo to talk about mental health. And especially for those of us that were deployed. I never got any evaluation when I got out. They asked me to sign a piece of paper when I was getting out of the service, when I was processing out of the Marine Corps, that said I wouldn't file a claim with the VA because I didn't have any injuries. I didn't know I had any injuries. And mental health is an injury. We didn't talk about that. I was fine. And so, but it's not it wasn't a recognized diagnosis, wasn't a recognized evaluation process that was used at the time. And how did I know if I had a problem or not? I've been living with guys who were trained to do the same thing as I was. We went there, we did it together, and we came home. The only time that I finally realized that I had a problem was I got home and I couldn't reintegrate. The friends that I had at home, which were my best friends and the kids that I grew up with, they weren't friends anymore. I didn't have a connection to them anymore because my life was different. I had to do things and be places that they'll never have to do and make decisions in their life. And they couldn't relate to me. And so that it drove a wedge between our relationship. And so I isolated. And then I isolated my relationship with my wife and my first wife and the kids and that kind of stuff because of that. And then I self-medicated because I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me. The military, the VA says I don't have any injuries. So what the hell's wrong with me, right? I don't want to be this person. You wake up one day and just go, I don't want to be this person anymore. What do I do to change? Nobody's there to tell you what to do. What are you going to do? And so leaving the service and going home and then you're self-medicating, what does that lead to? Legal problems, DUIs, divorces, drunk in public, domestic abuse. I mean, the list can go on and on and on and on and on and on, right?
Correct.
But that's what happens because you have somebody who's at such a high level of alert, such a high level of stress, such a high level of anxiety, and they've got to make split-second decisions on whether they got to shoot and kill somebody or if they're okay and they're comfortable and they're just going to let them go. Bye. The problem is now we put you back into society, and you're not carrying an M16. You're not carrying a 9mm sidearm. You're just your fist. And so you're going to make that assessment, and now you're going to have to do it with your fists versus having your sidearm with you. And so it adds a whole nother level of stress. So
exactly. You are 100% on this. I want to point out two things really quick. Oh, wow. Brian, I did not see your comment. I want to make sure I get that in a second. I like what Panda says here. I think we also need to change the discourse a little bit. People keep talking about fixing certain mental health issues that will likely never go away. Having a priority of what should be having the tools to live better with those unfixable issues. So I like what you're saying there, but I want to fix the unfixable issues by saying they might not be completely fixed, but even when you have a broken pipe, if water still flows through it, you can have it be sitting there. So making sure we're using our veterans in the most positive of ways to spread these things, to fix issues. And mental health is such a fucking huge thing. And we don't take it as serious as we should in our country, from veterans to teachers. I would say that on stage in front of the world. So you come home, stand in a crowd of 100 people, and have never felt so alone in your life. And I think that's really interesting coming from a veteran. I go down here and I see Jason's comment. He says, the VA diagnosed me with a neurological disorder in 1997. They never told me and never treated me for it. And that is a huge fucking issue, because that should not happen. If you get diagnosed with something neurological, you should be able to get help by our country's hard work. You fought to be free like that. So how often do you hear that, Dave?
That's a whole show we could go into that.
Right?
Of the issues with how well the VA takes care of veterans. We could have a whole trilogy or even a whole season on just how messed up the VA is in taking care of veterans. But I'm going to step back from that for a second. But I hear about this stuff all the time, where the veteran has an issue and they're not being taken care of for that issue. A lot of times veterans aren't educated enough in the knowledge of the VA's claims process, the legality of all of it, that they don't understand how hard or how easy it is to get through the process to get your benefits. They've made it so complicated for the veteran that they just give up. And they're betting on that. They're betting that a veteran's going to not continue to have the wherewithal to keep pushing forward. They want them to quit, because once you quit, they've won. They don't have to pay you anything, or they don't have to pay you what you deserve because you quit fighting the fight.
Yeah.
And since I've learned how to fight the fight, everybody who talks to me, well, I don't need my benefits. Oh, you don't need your benefits for serving your country?
Mm.
I have lots of veterans, Vietnam era, that say that to me. Korea War era, that say that to me. Oh, we don't need their money. We don't need that. So you would rather give those benefits, that money, that tax dollars back to the taxpayers, even though they didn't put their life on the line, but you did. So you don't deserve getting help for that problem.
What?
So, and I speak that to the family, and especially these older veterans, when I would sit down with them and work on their claims with them, I'd say, bring your spouse, bring your kid, bring somebody who you trust with you, because I'm going to be asking you some questions that you're going to need to talk about with them. And I want you to be able to answer it. And I would bring up that financial stuff. Why haven't you claimed before? Why haven't you signed a claim before? Well, I didn't think it was worth it. Oh, so you're telling me that you getting help from the VA, getting free medical care for everything that you need, free medication, all of that stuff, plus also getting a disability check, tax-free dollars every month for you putting your life on the line for your country, and you actually having issues from that. Mm-hmm. Don't you think they owe it to you?
Mm-hmm.
And then after I say that, well, of course, they're going to be proud and boastful and I'm a Marine. I don't need that stuff. Or, Army, I don't need that. Yeah, somebody else can do that. No, I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how much pride you have. The VA needs to take care of you. That's
Yes.
bottom line. That's it. The
Yes.
VA needs to take care of you. That's what it was created for, and that's what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the bureaucracy that they built around the claims, the hospital, the healthcare, all of those problems, they're not taking care of veterans. They're getting better. I can tell you that they're getting better, but it's going to take shows like this. It's going to take people like us talking to, politicians, talking to representatives, getting out there and getting in front of lawmakers and saying, hey, you got to make it easier on them, not harder.
Yes.
And that's exactly what they got to do. And so through my work that I did, I have connections all the way from local resources, local nonprofits, all the way to national, the appeals board for veterans claims. I have attorneys all over the country that do veterans appeals that I know that work on those. I know people all over the country that are out there wanting to help veterans, but veterans aren't looking for them. And the reason why they're not looking for them is because they don't know about them. They don't know what resources are there too. So that's the other piece of it. They're not being informed of how to get help. And so that's part of the show, is to do that as well.
I think that's so fucking commendable. And I use the F word like that because it deserves it in these sentences. Jason, Dave, and I were active duty. PTSD was one of the really bad 4-letter words. It was taboo to use. I have a thing on that. And it's that masculine male stereotype that we don't talk about certain things. PTSD. Why do we let our ego get in the way of things that maybe can be used in a positive? PTSD is not a negative. It is something that can be put, it is for you living through it. But it's something where with the right tools and the right surroundings where people are actually helping each other, you can get to that next step. You can push through. And we have, like Brian said, it was not something that was talked about. How do you feel about opening up discussions about mental health in such a serious way? Because that will come with some backlash from people at times that just don't see the balance on both. How are you feeling, and what are your response about talking about this?
Well, what I'm going to do is we're going to talk a lot about toxic masculinity and talk about that's a national thing that was created, and that's men don't cry. We heard about that as we were growing up. You want me to make you cry? I'll give you a reason to cry. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That type of upbringing, those types of things is what created toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity also drives that same thing of you're too proud to get help. You don't need it. Somebody else would. You're going to save it for somebody else to do. The problem is that you do need it. And I'm not afraid to talk about my past. I'm not afraid to talk about my problems. I'm not afraid to talk about the stuff that I went through. If it opens the door for you to be able to say, you know what? I have some of the same things. I experienced some of the same things. What do I need to do? Where can I get help? Can you show me? Can you tell me? Let's do it. Let's do it together. And that's another piece of this is being open to being able and vulnerable to share my experiences and talk about them. And if I don't talk about them, who's going to? Who out there is going to be talking about it?
That's why the Marines go in first.
That's right. That's right. We carry the burden. We ain't afraid to carry it. So
you have a fleet behind you, my friend. I'm watching these comments come in. This actually raises a question to me. It's they quit caring for veterans last year. They done my cancer screening over the phone. How has COVID been something, especially since we saw, we can go many directions on this one. COVID came in and it's changing the face for veterans and everyone, from medical to even connecting one-on-one. How do you, and with me and Delight, want to be able to really help people where these cancer screenings that they're going to, That's bullshit that they can't actually get the right help. That's
Right.
bullshit that they're not able to get what's deserved.
Right.
How can we assure them that referring their friends here, we're going to make sure we jump through hoops to help people?
Because we're going to bring awareness to that. So if somebody comes to the show and says they did telephone screening for cancer, yeah, I want to know who was the service that did it, which doctor did you go to, what was the date of the exam. Give me the information of who it was, and we'll put them on blast on here. I don't care. We'll bring that information out to all the people that I know, higher ups, that are talking to politicians every day and talking to judges every day about what's going on in the VA system. That's unacceptable. We need to make the public aware of. They see that, oh, we're claiming benefits, and they hear about people who are scamming the system. 1 out of 10 million people scam the system, but then all of us are scamming the system, right? So, and I've heard that a lot too. Well, I don't want to be one of those guys that they think is scamming the system. You're not scamming the system. You're not working the system. Nope. This is a benefit that you get because you served your country. You put your life on the line. Yep. You were willing to give your life for your country if you had to, whether you chose to be a cook, whether you chose to be somebody in an office, you still chose to serve in the military. And being somebody who's a part of the military, you are going to put the world on notice that you are in the military. And that just being an American serviceman puts you on blast all over the world. They can tell you're a service member. If they want to take you out, they'll take you out. And that's showing something. They earn something by that. So, I mean, you got to think about that too. But getting back to it, we have to call the decision makers to the carpet and say, you're not doing it right. What you're doing is not working, and what you're pushing through, or the decisions that you're making and the processes that you're putting together, aren't working in the favor of the veteran. And that's not what this organization should be. This organization was set up to work for the benefit of the veteran, not for the benefit of the government. And the reason why is because the veteran put his name on a piece of paper that became your property for a time of service. And that's exactly what they did. And you owe them everything that happened to them during that time. Now, the other thing we need to do is we need to push the VA into qualifying mental health as also a disability that actually would be like something that you get Purple Heart for, or some type of medal for, because that carries on for the rest of your life. You don't heal that. That doesn't go away. I've gone through counseling. I go through prayer groups. I do Bible studies. I do all of this stuff to keep my mind right, but I still can't stop the intruding thoughts, the nightmares, those types of things, the flashbacks. I can't stop that stuff. That's still going to happen until the day that I die. And it wouldn't be there if I didn't experience those things. And because I didn't get a bullet into my arm or an IED blow up next to me, I was still there. And I've been through those experiences, saw dead bodies, saw dead body parts. I mean, being around that stuff, sending rounds downrange, not knowing what you're hitting. I mean, yeah, I live with those things. That's a problem. So, and your average American doesn't live with that on a daily basis. So how can you feel that you're the same as me if you're an average American versus a veteran? And then also, how can you, somebody who got shot in the arm, get a medal because you got shot in the arm, but then you also don't get anything for your PTSD because you're going to end up with PTSD as well. It's another injury. Yeah.
And that's one that's not diagnosed when you're leaving the battlefield. That's not one that's going to be diagnosed within a day or two. That's something that happens over time, that you notice that change inside you and it's brought to your attention. With that being said, what about people that don't? I never served in any form of the Army, the Navy. I wasn't a seaman. I wasn't anything. Okay. I was literally, come on, I didn't even get a smirk on that one. That was a good one. Got it slid right in there. But
I got it. I got it.
I didn't do any of that stuff, but I'm very grateful for those who did because my grandfather served. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, Fernando. This is why I have you here. I love you. Brandon and Dave, CK, I love you. I'm glad CK is a veteran as well. CK is 1 in a million human being, and I'm grateful she stopped by to say hi. But Dave, for the regular people like me, I understand what you did. I appreciate what you did. What about those people who don't? How can we bring awareness of connecting with you guys and being able to help bring the actual war, in a sense, home, because it's all in here right now. You know?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because part of the show, one of the segments I want to do is talk about veteran stories. And what I mean by that is actual veterans that I've had conversations with that I've been able to have the ability to get them to open up to me to share what their experiences were, and be able to peel the onion back and get to that mental health issue and why is it today? Why, you know, how let it, and have an explanation of how it got there, and then be able to tell people, you know, so that they can see the similarities in their service versus everybody else's. So, you know, and once you have somebody, for a veteran, I know for myself, if I have somebody who I can say has been there, done that, it's easier for me to open up and have a conversation with them and share with them the things that I've experienced in my life and the things that I need help with. So for us moving forward, the more that we can bring a presence to that, a light to that by other veteran stories, we can connect people together so that they'll be able to talk about that. And so some of the guests we're going to be talking about their stories. We're going to talk about their fight. We're going to talk about, you know, what their transition was like, that kind of stuff, and be able to open that up so people can say, you know what, I went through the same thing, and you're right. This is what I have going on in my life today. I didn't know the VA could do that. Nobody told me about it. All kinds of things like that. The VA doesn't go to your house and say, hey, Mr. Brown, you got to come down here. We got to get your benefits. No, they don't do that. They send you a letter that you probably are going to toss to the side because you've had enough government paperwork in your hand for the last 4 years or 5 years or whatever. And you're just going to toss it aside. Or if you're struggling with mental health, you're not going to want to deal with it anyways, because it's a government letter. You're going to throw it to the side. But you're not going to drive for that. The problem is that they give up too. They don't come to your door. They don't reach out to you. They don't say, hey, go get help. They don't, how are you doing? A year later, after you're out, hey, what you got going on with life today? How's life going? Maybe you should come check in with us and see, you know, let us talk about some of the things that might be available to you. No, there's nobody doing that. And why aren't they doing that?
Money. If you have to pay somebody to keep in touch with everybody, and if they don't answer because of mental health issues to life just being life, it's easier just to not care about them anymore and think that something bad, think they just went away. It's easier to just get rid of it. It's not in their realm, and that's absolutely atrocious because of the fact that's a human life, that's a human mind, that's a human that went and fought for our freedom, and we just push them aside.
Here's another thing. Over 75% of the people that work at the VA that are issuing these disabilities are civilians and have no idea what serving in the military is. I'm
sorry, repeat that statistic, because that one blows my mind in so many different levels.
Yep, over 75% of, at least 75%. It was over. I don't know if it is today, but it was over just a couple of years ago. 75% of the people that work in the VA claims offices are civilians.
So
they have no idea what serving means.
September 11th is just going to be a few days away. Tomorrow, we're going to be paying tribute to it on Java. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize on the 20-year reunion of it, I don't want people to go to the war. I don't want people to go to what's happening over there now. I want people to be able to remember that moment of where they were on September 11th and they got word. Because all of our hearts sank together United States was attacked for the first time, and it made history, and it's not being talked about the way it should be, and it's not being thought of with the respect that we owe it. So I say this, and I say, as a veteran, Dave, what would be a way to remember September 11th? And actually, could you tell us where you were on September 11th? I'm sure there's something there, because I know exactly where I was standing and what happened that day when I saw that first tower go down. I know right where I was, and it just, I can picture it every time I see it.
Well, let's see. Just go back a few weeks before it. I got married on August 17th, 2001. The Monday after I got married, my wife and I moved down to Florida and moved to North Miami Beach. And she was working at Mercy Hospital, and I was going to Barry University for schooling. And September 11th, I was going to my world religions class, and which was taught by a Catholic priest. And they came over the intercom and said that there's something going on. We're canceling all classes. Everybody needs to go home. And so one of my buddies, that because what I was going to school for was an athletic trainer, one of the guys in my class was a baseball player, and he lived on campus. And he's like, hey, let's go check out and see what's going on. And so we went to the cafeteria and watched. That's when the first plane had hit the first tower. And so I was glued to the TV. I watched and watched and watched. And then I got to a point, and I kept trying to get a hold of my wife, and I couldn't get a hold of her to see if she was watching it. But we were able to come together that night, and we were at home, and the only thing we did was we were glued to the TV. And what that did for me as a veteran is it enacted a rage inside of me that I wanted to go and get my pound of flesh back for that sucker punch. And I think that's what it did to a lot of veterans at that point. And what was great about it is that the unity that came out of that. Everybody was proud to wave the red, white, and blue. Everybody was proud to hold hands and talk to each other and honk. And you had flags on overpasses. You had all this stuff that we're united. We're going to get through this. We got each other's back. Now you fast forward to 20 years to today, and we don't have a society like that. It's a mess. And so what do you do? How do you get back there? Do we need somebody to come punch us in the mouth again? Is that what it's going to take? But those are some of the thoughts. I mean, but as a veteran, that it puts you in a dark spot, puts you in a bad place. And I think that it's good to remember these types of things as a remembrance, but we're still here after 20 years. They haven't been able to get over here and take us out. And that's something to celebrate too, is that we've been able to hold them off and be able to do that. So without getting into any of the stuff that's going on in the world today, I mean, we can save that for another show, but with the 20th anniversary coming up on Saturday, I'm going to play golf with some veterans, and I'm going to be with them so that we can have conversation if conversation needs to be had, and share time together. It's better for us to be together than to be alone. And so that's what I'm going to do. I don't need to go back in those nightmares. I don't need to go back in those dreams, those thoughts. So we're going to play golf. We're going to hang out, 20th anniversary, and just do vet things, smoke a stogie, hang out.
I love it. I love it. Panda, thank you for this comment. I was in my bedroom in Germany watching some cutesy anime shows, and even me, it felt like the world was ending, and I was glued to the TV broadcasts of it all. I didn't fully understand what was happening, but it left a huge impact on me, even an ocean away. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about September 11th on Java, and I'd love to have everybody be able to be there and right up there where they were. I want to hear your side of the story, because that day had a lot of emotion behind it. That day had a lot of power behind it. And to see 20 years later where we are and how different it is, how he's not my president is something people want to say on no matter who's in the office anymore. It's our country is torn apart more than ever, but the people that are the ones getting hurt the worst, and I mean this as Americans, are the veterans. They went and served and then they came home to not have to get the runaround, to not have the benefits that they needed. And then you can't tell me people did not know that this was all going to be where if we make people run around and go through hoops and all that, that after everything they've been through, they're just going to fade away.
Mm-hmm.
There's a broken system here. And we need to be able to be a community of individuals that say, F it, and find a way to be able to be together. And we'll change the world. I lost where I was going to go with that, so I'm going to go, we'll change the world.
We'll change the world. Yeah, baby. Man in the mirror, Michael Jackson. Come on.
I was like, I love Michael.
With the man in the mirror.
So, Dave, I'm going to ask one last question, and then you get to choose everything from there out, like how you want to go. You could do final words, whether you're doing positive affirmations, or whether you're saying, like, good morning, Vietnam, like Robin Williams did. However you want to do anything, you will be the guy that gets to pick how the show ends. My last question of all the questions for you. In the Marines, they say, I'm going to mess this up and you're going to make fun of me, so I'm going to make fun of myself really badly. They say, woo-ha! And I know that's not right.
That is not right. It's not woo-ha.
Is it yeehaw? Is it yeehaw? No, that's not right either.
Hoorah.
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 So, like W-H-O.
No. O-O-H-R-A-H. Hoorah.
Hoorah. Hoorah. All right. So.
And the Army says hooah.
That's why I mix them up. I just want to be like, wahoo. You know? Like.
Yeah, you're a Yahoo. Wow.
I am a Yahoo. You see all of these. Oh, wow. There's Brian Tracy, like that disappointment.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think we need something that would be an outcry. You know, when the flag is upside down, it means America's in distress.
Right.
Like, there's so many little things. Common mistake. Thank you, Panda. Panda's got my back. Woohoo! So, what would you say we can do? I want you to think about what would be a call that we all could do to show our vets. Like, just your thing, make it Dave's. And if you don't have one, that's okay. I'll shut my face. And that's something for next week's episode that you're going to introduce everybody to. Because I think having an outcry, a call, a thing, it connects us where it doesn't matter if you're Army, Marines, Air Force, or even the reserves. You know, the National Guard. That's the one I wanted to say. So it doesn't matter where you are. It's an outcry. And maybe you know something that I don't on that. Teach me. I am yours, and you have the floor, my friend.
So, you know, as an outcry, you know, what I'd like to do is I would like to reach out and cry out for just, if you know somebody, mash them to this program, share this program with them, get them in contact with us, let them see what we're doing here and get some information. Not if anything else, at least get a laugh or two at how funny we do things here, or how we make fun of each other, or all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we're here, we're going to have fun doing it too. But the number one thing is that we're here to help, and we want to take care of, it doesn't matter what and how you served, it's what's out there for you, and what does it take for you to qualify for those benefits. There's people out there that think they're veterans, and the VA will tell you that they're not for their qualifications, for their benefits. And how do you get around that? How do you do those types of things? You're not going to know unless you know the system. Who's going to take time to learn how to work the system? Nobody is. So the outcry is, we have answers. Doesn't matter what branch of service you served in. You serve the country. We have the ability to help you. And we have resources to help you. And I want to be there to help you. Me or somebody from the Victor Tango Show or Java Delight or
The Delight Network.
The Delight Network, or we're that's what we're here to do. And coming up on the show, it's just going to be a lot of veteran talk. We're going to talk a lot about things that veterans want to talk about. If you have a question, if you have an issue that you want to discuss, you can email us at victortangoshow@gmail.com and send us a little blip on what you're going through, what you need help with, and we'll pull you up on the show if you want to, and we can talk on the show. I'll respond to your emails, and maybe we can even interview you at some point and talk about the process and how we helped you and those types of things too, and be able to reach out to more and more people. The one thing that I want to reach out to is everybody knows a veteran. Everybody knows a veteran in their life. Reach out to that veteran and tell them about this program. Tell them about Victor Tango Show, and tell them about the podcast, and tell them that we're doing great things here and we want their help to be able to take care of other veterans. All of us know somebody who's struggling right now, and mental health is time to get the taboo away from the word mental health, PTSD, depression, anxiety. It's real. It's a real problem. It's a diagnosis. It's a medical injury, and let's get it taken care of. We're not going to cure it. We're not saying we're going to cure it. Does AA say they're going to cure alcoholism? Does NA say they're going to cure your addiction to narcotics? No, they're not. They're not going to cure those. What they're going to do is they're going to give you tools to be able to manage your cravings, be able to keep that from using that stuff on a daily basis in your life. They're going to give you tools to do that and give you programs to be able to follow on a daily basis to keep yourself in a better place, that you're not so low or not so high. Mental health is going to be the same way. We're going to teach you how to do those things. We're going to show you possible ways to make your life better, possible ways to help you get through your day. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to make fun of each other. Like I said, we get a bunch of service members on a radio show too. We're going to have some Army guys. Yeah, we'll have to bring some Army guys on here. Some Navy guys who think that we're part of their service. And then we have to tell them, yep, we are the men's department of the Navy. And then we got to talk to the Air Force, because they got a right to be here too. Coast Guard. I respect the Coast Guard because they're on the coast every day, and they actually are the smallest service with 50,000 or less. Here's interesting tidbit of information for you. If you are not in the military, I want you to Google the current level of staffing for the United States Navy, for the United States Army, for the United States Air Force, for the United States Marine Corps, and for the Coast Guard. Coast Guard's going to be the smallest service with 50,000 or less. There is only 225,000 Marines on active duty right now. There's like 1.5 million Army. There's like 1 million or 750,000 Air Force. I mean, it's just not even close to what the Marines are. So when you talk about cockiness, you talk about Band of Brothers, you talk about elite, you talk about first to fight. I know that I never have to go through life saying that I was afraid of being part of the elite fighting force of the Marines. I don't have this phrase in my vocabulary that says, I almost joined the Marine Corps. No, I did it. I had the courage to do that. So any of the other services, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I've heard all your stories. I've heard I was going to join the Marines, or my buddy and I were going to join the Marines. You don't need to come to me with that. You just make yourself look bad, really. Just own it. You're in the Army. You went to the Army. You went to the Air Force. But that's okay. I'm just giving you a little bit of grief because that's what we do with service stuff. So, but no, really, that's what we're here for. We're here to have some fun as service members. We're going to cut each other down, but that's what we do when we see each other in the first place. And we're going to get some help. We're going to talk about some interesting things.
I have to ask one thing. Panda made one good question here before I hit the to-go button on everything. Seriously, though, you should have one tango dance tango dancing special sometime. Would I be able to talk you into that?
Depends on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I could get talked into something. I mean, over time, I got to do something once at least. So,
and you honestly, tango dancing. Let's say we find a way to fund the tango dancing for a bunch of Marines, and then on a Marine holiday, you dance with your wife and do the tango with her. I think that's going to change a lot of people's view of dancing, especially if we could figure out a way to get a bunch of Marines to be able to dance together. And on a holiday like that, it brings something out, and it's so different, and it shows the band of brotherhood on top of breaking stereotypes. But that's just me being the brain that I have in me that's all weird all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to get a bunch of Marines to do the tango, but it's a possibility. I mean, we could, we can throw it out there.
I have to be honest. I understand what you're saying, but Dave, you've met me. You want to see me oh yeah, buddy. You want to see a bunch of Marines start dancing? Oh, I want to see this too now. Panda's over here like going, honestly, that would be kind of awesome. I am not even into dancing, but it sounds like some awesome things that in this context. And that's what we're going for, is being able to bring something positive, whether it's tango dancing or not. Right. Beer crawl, they will all show. That's a funny one, Jay.
That's true.
So Dave, this is your final goodbye. How do you want to end your shows? And give me the thumbs up and I'll hit the button.
Well, I want to end the show by inviting anybody who sees this podcast, listens to this podcast, to reach out to the veterans that they know in their life, share this with them, and ask them to continue to share and subscribe and moving it out so that we can get to as many veterans as we possibly can to get some information to them. I want you to let me know if there's a topic that you guys would like to have discussed. And maybe I need to get a resource that I can interview so that we can ask questions of that resource as part of the show. Again, that's Victor Tango Show at gmail.com. You can send those questions or those ideas there, and we get those on the show and take care of that. I haven't come up with this yet, but I want to find a way to open the show with something like we talked about, like Robin Williams did back in Good Morning Vietnam, where he did the Good Morning Vietnam or something like that to start the show. And then how do we end it? How are we going to, I'd like some suggestions on that. How do you feel about how should we end the show at the end of the day? Final thoughts, closing thoughts.
Salute.
Yeah.
A salute.
A salute. What do you guys need? What do you need from me, knowing that the show's over? Until next time.
So because we don't have that, would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
All right. Let me get myself set up. I want it as best you can. Give me the Marine. I'm not going to say it wrong, so you can't make fun of me. Give me it really hard so every one of the Marines out there doing it together. There you go, buddy. Do it.
Hoorah!